Hey guys, TCGLover here. Instead of me doing my normal vlogs, I'm going to do a deck profile instead because I want to get back to my old roots, so to speak. I've been doing too many vlogs recently and me just talking about normal stuff. I want to get back to my deck building because I do like building decks and I do like talking about decks and actually showcasing decks, as well as talking about like showing box openings, stuff like that. I find them more interesting, and it's obvious that you guys find it more interesting as well, rather than just me talking to a camera, because anyone can do that. It's about actually people want to see decks and people want to see packs being opened. It's what they came to YouTube for, really. So I'm going to try and do more of those more often, even though it'll probably mean I'll make less videos. I want to make quality videos rather than quantity, which I've been doing recently. This is my Gravekeepers deck. Obviously when you hear the word Gravekeepers, it makes a lot of people go, oh, Gravekeepers, oh. To be honest, the deck is so fun. When you troll people and like you beat them with this deck, people go, oh, Gravekeepers suck, don't know why you're still playing this deck. But the fact is that it's a good meta call, actually. You know, it can wreck a lot of decks. You know, it can really take Chaos Dragons for a ride. You know, once you shut off their remove from play ability and their special summoning from the graveyard, things start to get a little bit difficult for them. So it's a really good matchup against them. Of course, I was worried about Dark Worlds initially when I first made this deck, but of course if you side in this card, Gravekeeper's Watcher, then the deck is much more manageable. It allows you can discard it from your hand when they activate an effect that discards, and then you negate the effect. And the only reason why I run this card over Gemini Imps is because I can get it back with Gravekeeper Steely. So it would go in my side deck if I was actually playing this in the tournament. But anyway, without further ado, let's get on with the deck. So firstly we have 3 Gravekeeper Spy. Can't not run 3 of this card. It's the core of the deck. It's the only card in the deck that special summons, basically. Obviously I'm not running Monster Reborn because it conflicts with Necrovalley too much. This would be one of the main targets for your opponent's Solemn Warnings, but that's why you try and do it on their battle phase when they attack it. Obviously on the Necrovalley it's 2/500 defense, so it's really good. Next up we have 3 Commandant. You need to run 3 of these to search for your Necrovalleys. When you have too many Necrovalleys in your hand, these become 2100 beaters. 2100 can get over a lot. Surprisingly, it can get over Thunder King without any problems. It can get over anything with with attack points, basically, like Guaiba or Sabersaurus or anything like that. It can just take it out. You know, I mean, even if you attack a Tour Guide face in attack mode, 1100 damage is nothing to scoff at. It's a really good card. And you know, you want to get your Necrovalley as quick as possible, and you can get it back with Steely. Of course we're going to have 3 recruiters because the card is incredible. I'm not exactly sure, I need to check it out, but I believe that if you send it to the graveyard while it's an Xyz material, you can get a search, because it's when this card you control is sent to the graveyard. So you might be able to it's worded in the same way as Torbus, so I think you can exceed with it and get searches, which is pretty awesome. Of course it's one of the main targets that you summon with Gravekeeper Spy if you've already got a Gravekeeper's Descendant in your hand. So you can summon Descendant and pop 2, and then this card lets you search. This card also allows you to use Wonder Wand, which I'm not using in this deck because I've had some problems with it before. But Wonder Wand is great because you can equip it to this, make this 2200 on the Necrovalley, you attack, and then you send it to the graveyard for Wonder Wand to draw 2 cards, and you get to search for a Gravekeeper, which is fantastic. But I just don't like it when I draw Wonder Wands without a target, and they've got too many back rows. There's nothing I can do. 3 Descendant. With Veiler around, this card has been hurt quite badly. It's probably much the only card in the deck that has been hurt by priority because it's ignition effect. With that being said, you have to run 3 because you just need to have more chance of drawing it, and when it does go off, it's still a very powerful card. I mean, it's 2000 on the Necrovalley. That's fantastic. 1 Assailant. I prefer this because, I don't know, it's kind of weird. I like the fact that it goes up to 2000 and it basically gets over big monsters. Obviously it can't get over Stardust Dragon, which this deck has a problem with, but what it can do is take out certain problem cards like Dolka, for instance. If Dolka hasn't got materials on it, obviously. Yeah, you can do some really good stuff with this card. It's a really great way to end games if they have like a rabbit in defense mode, or it happens, just put their stuff in attack mode and just blow them up. It's fun. Okay, so my 2 cards which are not Gravekeepers are Fossil Diners. Obviously I'm saying I run this variant over the Malefic Stardust variant. Malefic Stardust has a really good card this format because of how it defeats the meta quite well. I mean, it can get past Dino Rabbits quite easily and it protects your field spell. But with this card, you know, if you set it and they attack it, it pretty much is going to hit something no matter what. And this card, if you summon this and you set back row, then your opponent's going to have a really hard time, especially with priority being gone. You know, they can't just get their ignition effects off and just blow this card up. You know, there are cards that can do that. But this card, with the fact that priority ruling slows the cards down, this card is much better because of that. And obviously running 2 means that you draw them more often. You know, it's a really good card to bluff a Gravekeeper Spy as well. Of course, when you get the chance to flip it up by yourself, it's really, really good. Okay, now to the spells. We're going to have 3 Potter's Duality. Yeah, you need to search as much as possible. The deck is a combo orientated deck. You need to get your Gravekeeper Spies and your Gravekeeper. You need to get your Necrovalley on the field as fast as possible, especially on the first turn, so you can Royal Tribute. This is the most important part of the deck, pretty much. Make sure you run 3 at all times. Don't even try and side out. Like, even if they run Thunder Kings, you want to be able to search Dark Hole, because the deck, there's not really anything to explain about it, but the deck relies on 1 or 2 monsters on the field at a time, and it attacks for like 2,000 each turn, because obviously if you attack for 2,000 every turn, then you win in 4 turns. So this card it punishes overextension, which is what this deck doesn't do. 3 Necrovalley. If you don't run 3 your scrub, basically, you need to keep this card on the field as long as possible, because it hurts so many decks. It hurts Chaos Dragons, it hurts Insectors if they don't have a Hornet in their hand. It hurts Wind-Ups, they can't use their Wind-Up Rat. It hurts many decks. You know, every deck wants to be reborn, so this card hurts every deck in some little way, and obviously you can't be a less of it on the field. 2 Royal Tribute. If I could run 3, I would, but you can only run 2, so you must run 2. It's important that you try and get this in your hand as quick as possible. And of course, if you've got this in your hand as well, then you can basically open up with a hand of 2 monsters, and then you can Royal Tribute without worrying about losing too much advantage while they lose like 5 cards in their hand. This card is fantastic against Chaos Dragons. A Law of Darkness, you need to get that draw power. Just remember that Commandant is an Earth type, so when you activate this with Commandant in your hand thinking it's a Dark, I've done it before and I've had to discard some pretty good cards in my hand thinking, oh god, why did I just do that? So do remember to remove something like Recruiter rather than Commandant. Mystical Space Typhoon, I run 2 of these. A lot of players only run 1 in Gravekeepers, but Mystical Space Typhoon has proven itself to be more than just a card that lets you hit a card. It's a Starlight Road become live. It allows you to stop stuff like Call the Haunted, so they can't search their Sangan. Because if they Call the Haunted and you chain this onto it, actually, to be honest, click the link in the description and I have an article talking about why AMST is so good, just in case you don't understand the card completely. I've got some really good tips on there, stuff like how to, like, you MST your other card. Pretend this is another face down card. You MST this and then you drop Gauze when they're attacking you, and they think, oh, they're not going to Gauze because you've got 2 back rows, and then suddenly Gauze comes down and they can't stop that, even if you neg 2 yourself. Book of Moon, oh, this card is fantastic with Gravekeeper Spy. Gravekeeper Spy is at 2/5, it flips it up, you Book of Moon it down and you get another special summon. This card abuses the card completely. Now for the traps, we're going to have a Solemn Judgment, and we're going to have 2 Solemn Warnings because we're going to play this deck properly. Solemn Warning came out around the same time as Recruiter did, and it made the whole deck run a lot smoother. This deck doesn't care so much about life points, and since you can hit 2,000 life points every turn, your opponent's Solemn Warnings it makes them think, it makes them have to Solemn Warning your monsters, even if you know, because every Necrovalley makes everything more powerful, so they're forced to Solemn Warning you all the time, and you basically, it makes your life a lot easier knowing that you only have to deal with like 2,000 life points. 2 compulsories. I don't like Stardust, I don't like Zen mains, I don't like cards which are on the field and I can't get rid of them. This card also allows me to avoid stuff like Torrential if I've only got 1 Gravekeepers in my hand. So this card is incredibly versatile, and you don't have to use this card until it's the perfect moment. Every deck is exceeding right now, and it works especially when you're playing against something like Dolka. Dolka can really screw this deck up. This card allows you to bounce it, and it clears the field for tons of hits, which is what you want to do. 2 Starlight Road. I don't really know what to say about this card. A lot of players only play 1, but because my trap count is somewhat quite big, and I do have stuff like 2 MST and Book of Moon and stuff like this, and Necrovalley, you can basically activate Necrovalley and set this card on its own, and it becomes live just like that, and people do not suspect Starlight Road if you've only got 1 face down in your back row. It's just one of those psychological things that people just look at it, and you know, if you have 2 face downs or 3, people begin to think, But if you only have one and then a Heavy Storm and you Starlight Road, they're like, why didn't I see this coming? So I only run two. I run two because you don't have to special summon Stardust Dragon, and I do like it when they try and torrential after the second monster summon. So if I Gravekeeper Spy and they summon Descendant and then they torrential thinking that they can get both monsters because of priority being gone, Starlight Road comes in and says no. 2 TT. Torrential Tribute is important. Dark Cold punishes overextension, and this deck does not overextend, so 2 Torrential is perfect. You don't have to have a monster on your field, you can just wait for them to overextend and then you blow their stuff up. It's that easy. Lastly, Phoenix Chain. Now that I have one, you have to run one basically. I mean, it's like, it's an effect veiler, but it makes Starlight Road more live, more able to come and happen. Basically, this card can just be set and your opponent tries to blow up stuff with Insect or Dragonfly after they've MST'd your Necrovalley, and you're thinking, I've got no way to stop it, but you do. You have Phoenix Chain. It's a really good card, and I wouldn't run more than one though. Anyway, there's only a few cards in the extra deck we're thinking about. Of course, aside from the 2 Stardust Dragons that you might want to run, Gemini Pearl, this card just came out, and obviously it makes the deck a lot better, much more efficient, since you can get over stuff like Stardust Dragon now without any problems. Utopia and Chaos Utopia Ray. I'm not running Mind Control obviously, so the only way for this to come out is with this. When you're really low on life points, it can really save your ass. Maestroke. This card is just like Gravekeeper Spy in the way that it allows you to survive. It's a great defensive card and you can really get over some really annoying things. Lastly, Zenmeister, because you can abuse it with Gravekeeper Spy. You can just keep flipping Spy back down with its effect and then flipping it up again and getting more special summons. So yeah, that is the deck. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you hope that you understand that Gravekeepers is a really good deck to play in this format. Of course, it's just a little bit too slow and sometimes it can't keep up. Everyone is playing Dark Colds and Heavy Storms. It's a tough format to live in, basically, to put it as bluntly as possible. That's it really. I hope you enjoyed the deck. That's all I can really say about it. Gravekeepers is really fun to play when you and your opponent always underestimates it, which is one thing that can always lead to winning. Yeah, thanks for watching guys. TCGLover out.